Hey everybody, it's Adam, live and in person for you. Hey everybody, it's Adam, wonder who he'll interview. Call me Adam.com.
Actress Kate Watson knows killer advice when she gets it. From the new Lifetime movie, Kate is burying it all with Call Me Adam. When we come back, we are going to find out all about Kate and this new movie and everything about her. So stay tuned. Hi, Kate.
Hi there.
It's so nice to have you on the show.
It's so lovely to be on. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm very excited to talk to you because I just watched your new Lifetime movie, Killer Advice. And I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. It's very suspenseful. It deals with so many subjects. So why don't we just get into that and then we can move into some more of the general conversation.
Let's do it.
Okay. So the movie in general is about a woman who suffers a traumatic event, and she goes to therapy to help her recover. So, I mean, how did you prepare? And you play Beth, who is the woman who suffers the traumatic event. So, how do you prepare for something like that? Or was it so easy because of the times we're living in?
I just pulled from what I'm experiencing in life right now. No, I prepared very quickly for this because when I was contacted and sent the script to look over, they were about a week away from shooting. And one thing about Beth that's really, that's another added layer of complexity to her is that, like many people, she is not someone who goes to see therapy regularly. So she's not versed in the world of self-help. And actually, it's a very scary thing for her. So even though she, in the beginning of the movie, goes through this traumatic attack, she's almost just as afraid to now have to deal with this with a professional and seek their help. So that was another added layer of complication that I had to kind of pull within me. Because I'm someone who's very open and I believe in self-help and therapy. And I think that it's a tremendous thing to go through and continue to go through, especially goodness, the times that we're living in, right? It's all about mental health and mental well-being. So what I did as far as prep is just I kind of delved into what is a trauma victim, what does that look like? There's a lot of shame attached with, especially with women. So this emotional transition would have to, between scenes, I mean, I was just holding it together as much as I could. And with Beth, when I read the script, I felt so uncomfortable in some of these scenes. And I don't know if you felt uncomfortable watching me in these scenes, but reading these scenes, I just felt she was just teetering on the edge. You could just push her and she'd fall one way or another. Yes. And that was kind of between takes. I had to hold all of that just on the surface. And I didn't have any nightmares because I was so exhausted by the end of the day. So I would just go home and fall right asleep and wake up the next morning early and try to memorize more of my script and get to set. But I did have one experience in between scenes that I did where it was a scene after a very, very tragic experience that Beth goes through. It was a scene right after that, and I was changing and getting ready for the next scene. And the first AD, our assistant director, came to me and was just like, "Are you okay? Like, I just want to check in with you." And I just lost it. I just had tears had to come out because they were so bottled up in me. And I needed that bit of release. But I did have all of this bubbling emotion within me, and I needed to let go of that.
Yes. And now I know you mentioned the filming was very quick for this. Do you have somebody or people in your life that you could go home to sort of unload some of this emotional?
Yes, my wonderful boyfriend. I would say, I'm coming home, dinner would be ready, and I would eat, and then we would just kind of, decompress a little bit, and I would fall asleep. But, I'm someone who I don't draw. I'm not an actor who draws from personal experience. But the feelings that I'm feeling on set are very real. And when I am Beth, I truly do feel like I went through those experiences walking in her shoes. So I definitely needed to kind of have a little bit of a reprieve and come down, and I was just so tired. I was emotionally, you know how it is when you go through it, right?
Yes.
You're just done. And so I would get home and I would just be done. But I was so excited because I love working and I love acting, and I actually really enjoyed shooting this movie as quickly as we shot it. So I would get up the next morning and be powered up and ready to take her on again.
Wow. Now you are sort of a veteran of Lifetime movies. You've also been in Killer Competition, Her Deadly Groom, Deadly Hollywood Obsession. I do like to talk about legacy in my interviews. So how do you want your Lifetime movies to fit into your legacy or your body of work, and what makes you so proud to work for Lifetime?
What I love about Lifetime is that, a lot of these narratives are around women
Mm-hmm.
and really talk about poignant subjects that women deal with, whether it's relationship issues, family issues, the relationships they have with their children, with work, and whatever those things might be. And they might be heightened versions of what they're experiencing, and have a little bit more zest to them. But they're actually, again, they're really poignant subjects in regards to things that we experience and what we go through.
Yes.
So I love that. I'm a big supporter of female narratives and how we can kind of, again, tell our own stories that are really organic and really truthful. And I think that Lifetime has done a good job thus far as heightening those experiences.
Continuing with the legacy conversation.
Yes.
X amount of years from now, when somebody mentions Kate Watson, what do you want them to say about you? What do you want them to think about you?
Yeah, because I life is taking me. I mean, Lifetime has been wonderful, and who knows what's going to happen with still working with Lifetime. But there's more projects coming outside of Lifetime as well. I think very simply that she created authentically. I think that authenticity and integrity is something that I've always valued in any artist. And one thing I will say about this industry, it is an industry, it's a business. And so the biggest challenge that I face as someone who is I'm obsessively compassionate just about the art and the craft of what I do and storytelling in general, and how does it connect with people and move people and make people think and feel. It's balancing that with how do I make a living doing that. And that's the challenge, and understanding that is going to be a challenge is first and foremost. So I hope that my legacy of sorts is just one that people can say, she's someone who navigated the water authentic way and didn't do anything that was untruthful to what her integrity was. What I do, I have very little control of the finished product as an actor. So all I can do is I can embody the character and the script and take the direction from the director and carry his vision or her vision forward. But I have no control of the outcome of the final product.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be heartbreaking.
At the beginning of the movie, when she has this experience, I'm glad it was a very limited scary experience, and it wasn't the full. It wasn't what it could have turned into.
You can thank our editor, Adam. Because let me tell you, shooting that scene was much longer than what it ended up on the actual cut.
Wow.
Yeah, it was significantly more scary, and I think that perhaps the note may have been too scary. Pull it back a little bit, but that we shot that quite a bit, and after that scene, I was, like I said, exhausted. Yeah. It was a lot. It was a lot more than what you see.
Now, do you get to see the final cut before it airs, or is your first?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, I get no say in it, but I did get to see it prior to the premiere. But a lot of the time, I don't, and it is terrifying.
Wow.
to be watching with everybody else. But
right.
That's where you have to just surrender and go, you know what? It is out of my hands. I did my job, and we'll see what comes to fruition.
Yes.
But I think anytime you get to play, no matter what the outcome is, the experience of being on the set, the experiencing of giving of yourself and working is the reward. And to look at it like that when you're starting is really important. And that being said, I walked away, Adam, when I was young, when I first came to LA, many moons ago, prior to the Me Too movement. And I walked away at 2021 and put my stuff in storage and said, at the right time, I'll come back to Hollywood. Because what I was experiencing was these roles that didn't align with my integrity as an actress. And not to say that, everything that I do is going to speak to who I am as a person. Quite frankly, a lot of roles are the opposite of who I am. But I think that I'm very passionate about how women are depicted on film. And I think that we, after this movement, get a stronger voice to play in a world that I think speaks to women a little bit more truthfully. And that's why I came back when I did. It was almost like a perfect storm of having this previous life and kind of hanging up my hat to come back to it, And literally almost 10 years to the day, the month, I actually came back to acting.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
actually going to be part of my next question. Because you did, like you just mentioned, you left the business and you worked in the business world,
Yeah.
for 10 years. So, I mean, what made, like you said, it was almost 10 years to the day that
Yeah.
you left. So what made then the right time to come back, and how do you want people when they also find out that you were a businesswoman,
Mhm.
how do you want that to play into your life's legacy?
Yeah, I mean, I think that so I worked in fashion and cosmetics for a long time. So I worked with corporations, I worked with smaller companies. I was a big trainer and spokesperson for many of these brands. I actually had an office on Madison Avenue, so I was in New York quite a bit.
Oh.
And I just traveled the country and the world and taught people how to sell and told stories about these cosmetics and these fragrances. I helped develop them. So it was a wonderful experience, and my goodness, it taught me so much about business, which is so important for what I do now, kind of as an entrepreneur, to navigate negotiation and communication and marketing and all of that stuff.
Mhm.
All those tools are invaluable. But I think that the lesson for many people, I think within that, including myself, was that you might have a calling and you might not find it to be the right time. And that's okay. That's okay. Because ultimately, especially with this business, it is a game of just moving inches and inch by inch and day by day. And truly I mean this, that it's not always your path is going to look very different than someone else's. You might not want it to. You might want to say, you know what? When I graduate high school, I'm going to go straight to Los Angeles. I'm going to get after this dream I've had since I was a little girl. And although that might be brave of you, it might not be the right move for you mentally, emotionally, physically. This business takes a lot of self-discipline. It takes a lot of self-awareness. And I think that everybody, no matter what their age is going to find that at the right time. And so I guess my advice would be don't be fearful of your timeline. Be truthful and know that sometimes you have to experience life in a certain way for a certain amount of time to be ready to move into the next chapter of your life, no matter what age that might be or what that looks like. And I think that your path is your path. And sometimes you got to put those blinders on and make sure that you're being truthful and that you're moving at your own pace and not running someone else's race.
Yes, that's really good advice. What was there a particular moment that happened that made you say like it's time to go back to acting?
Well, the universe kept showing me signs. As kind of kooky as that says, I think that I had a little bit towards the end of that imposter syndrome. Not that I wasn't good, I think, at my job because I kept getting promoted to bigger roles. So I obviously was doing the work well, but I had a bit of that imposter syndrome when I was like, I just know at some point they're going to walk into my office and say, it's time to get out of here. And I was going to come back to this, but I kept being dragged onto TV and in front of a camera. So I became the spokesperson of most of the companies that I worked for. I went to QVC and HSN. I was their guest sales spokesperson or their host on TV. I would do all of our branding videos for marketing. So that was kind of, again, it was like inching me back into, Kate, pay attention. This is kind of the direction that you're supposed to be headed. And then the company that I was working with after I came on board and kind of turned their brand around a little bit and got them in a situation where they were purchased by a much bigger company, they let a lot of their top people go, and I was including one of them.
Wow.
So it was a bit of a tough pill to swallow because it's hard to not take it personal when you're let go from a job. But it was a redirect, and it was the perfect redirect because I knew that it was just a matter of time before I happened to all of a sudden have now been in Los Angeles, where the job that I was working for moved me down from San Francisco to Southern California. So they moved me down there. It wasn't like I came to LA to become an actor again. I was already here. And so when I was let go from that job, it was just a complete redirect into saying, it's been 10 years of this. It's time.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I love those like transition signs and how the universe says, this is what you need to do right now.
You got to pay attention and you can't be resistant. And it is not an easy thing because it hurts. It hurts to sometimes be uncomfortable, and especially leaving something that you spent a lot of time in and maybe been comfortably economically in. It's really hard to go from that coming a beginner again. Having someone who doesn't have this built legacy any longer and having to start from the ground up. That's scary, but it's also exhilarating.
Let's switch things up for a little bit, and let's just move into some rapid fire questions just to lighten things up a little bit. Okay. So first is favorite TV show.
Oh, this is not a lighter subject. Because Adam, them like the dark stuff. I love The Undoing. Did you watch The Undoing on HBO?
Oh no, I don't get HBO.
Oh, okay. Well, then you didn't watch Sharp Objects either.
I didn't.
All right, we have to get to HBO, and then you can watch all the dark stuff with me.
Okay.
I love like a twisted, turny tale, similar to Killer Advice, but has a lot of grit. And the writer Gillian Flynn wrote Sharp Objects. It was her first book, and Amy Adams stars in it, and it's the Southern Gothic, and I'm writing a Southern Gothic right now, so I'm so obsessed with Southern Gothic stories. So
oh wow,
it is a good one. It's a very good one.
I love that. Favorite movie?
You know what I just watched last weekend? Let's just make it a recent one.
Okay.
Promising Young Woman.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. Not yet.
It's talk about subverting expectations. It is kind of like a dark comedy thriller, and it's quite amazing. It's quite amazing.
Okay.
Definitely recommend you.
I will have to check that out.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Favorite musical?
Classic. It was Phantom of the Opera. Phantom of the Opera. Just the music and the kind of this slightly creepiness to it. Again, I'm putting myself in this place that I like a lot of creepy things.
Yes.
But it's a classic.
Another question I have is favorite play.
Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, maybe?
I
remember seeing that at the Guthrie Theater when I was living in Minneapolis when I was young. But it was incredible. And I remember seeing it also the movie when I was very young too. And I just think that is just, it was one of those roles that you see a woman that's just like, and you're like, wow, I've never seen a woman like that, with that sort of presence before.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
It's a very strong play.
It is.
Yes.
It is. Mm-hmm.
Favorite cereal?
I'm not a big cereal person anymore, but back in the day, Adam, when I would come home from school, the go-to snack was Honey Bunches of Oats.
Yes.
Always Honey Bunches of Oats. I was obsessed.
I love it. Well, if you do want to give it a go, they have frosted Honey Bunches of Oats now.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. What is your favorite cereal?
Growing up, my favorite cereal was Apple Jacks, hands down.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, cinnamon apple.
Favorite comfort food?
Oh, favorite comfort food. Being from Hawaii, I love going back home, and the first day I'll make myself sick because I will eat all of the things that I can't get anywhere else. So I will just, I'll be in bed the next day and, they'll know exactly why. So I love Hawaiian food, all kinds of Hawaiian food that others would find probably revolting. But I think if I'm really down and really feeling it and I need something very comforting, probably French fries.
Mm-hmm.
Probably French fries.
Yes.
Something about potatoes, mashed potatoes too.
Yes. Favorite board game?
Oh, see, now this is where I get my energy and power from. Boulder Dash. Do you know the game Boulder Dash?
Oh, yes. I never played it, but I think that was actually one of my brother's favorite games growing up.
So my family and I are extremely competitive when it comes to board games. We take it very seriously. And I am the reigning champion. I'm looking towards them if they're watching now. I'm the reigning champion of Boulder Dash in my family, happily. And it's a bluffing game. So essentially, it started out, they have different categories now, but it started with just bizarre words and deciphering the meaning. And so you would make up the meaning, pass it to the reader, and the reader writes down the real meaning of the word, and then reads them all, and you vote. And I always have people voting for my fabulous definition of the word that I've made up. So I think it's a part of me that's a writer that loves to make up things, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Your go-to karaoke song?
Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen.
Mm.
I like that song. And then some Whitney Houston.
Oh, yes.
Whitney, thinking that I can sing Whitney.
And your go-to emoji when texting?
I've been sending the winky face a lot. I don't know why. I feel like it's kind of just like I got you. Like, I know what you're saying without
Yeah.
having to reiterate. Yeah, it's a lot of the winky face.
I love that. I love
How
that.
about you? What do you send a lot
Send
of?
a lot of hearts. And the smiley face, definitely smiley face. The arm, the muscle arm.
I want to read your text. What text is followed by a strong arm, I wonder?
Usually workout related.
Oh, okay.
Fitness related. I have a wide variety.
You do. You have a lot of favorites.
Yes. But I guess my number one would be the smiley face.
The smiley face.
Yeah. That's it for the rapid fire questions. Okay. So we're going to talk about some lessons learned.
Okay.
So, like the film's plot of Killer Advice, what is something you have learned from a scary situation?
Something that I have learned is that bravery is not the absence of fear, but it's the movement through it. So I think so many of us, and I've been talking about this in other interviews, is that, we see so many of these movies now that have these infallible characters, right? They're superheroes, and we know that their ability is going to get them through, but it's inhuman. And I think what's very human is going through a scary experience like we're all in right now, and not necessarily saying that we have to be fearless and that we have to expect ourselves to not feel fear, but to feel the fear and accept the fear, but move through the fear with bravery.
What's one mistake you made early on in your career that became a life lesson you take to this day?
Well, I think probably going back to, again, moving out here, feeling as though it was the right time, kind of convincing myself that I was equipped. I'd always been a very, charismatic, strong, self-aware and self-assured young woman. And I think that I thought that I was prepared. I was like, I'm ready to go. I went to college for theater. I've gotten all my ducks in a row. I've saved up some money. Let's get after it. And I think that tempering your expectations is the most important thing, because having expectations of yourself is fine, but having expectations of everything around you is a really dangerous recipe for letdown, for heartache. And I think that feeling as though I knew what I knew just enough, and you don't always know what you know until you're experiencing it, and know that that's okay. That is okay. It's okay to be maybe not right about who you are when you experience something.
Figuring out who you are comes with all the different experiences that you experience.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to walk through it to go, maybe I was wrong about this. Maybe this isn't the right time for me. And to come to terms with that is a hard pill to swallow, because again, there's a lot of shame involved with that, and accepting that maybe you were not who you thought you were ready for it. But that's the best thing that you can do, because sometimes you'll never learn those lessons unless you walk through it. But I think also just knowing that the expectations that you have might not exactly be the right expectations or the truth of what's going to happen.
Right. Until you go through it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Have you ever been fired from a project?
Not an acting project, knock on wood.
Well, right. You were fired, I know, from business. Yeah.
Yeah. People don't see the value in you. It has nothing to do with you. I feel that I'm rejected. Adam, I am fired 100 times a year. It's called an audition. It's called a rejection.
Yeah.
And, for all of the movies that I've done thus far in the couple of years that I've been doing this full time, there are, hundreds of auditions that I've done and gotten very close to, and done callback after callback, and still been rejected. But again, that rejection is not really a reflection of me. It is really just a redirection into something else. And there's so many different moving, pieces of the puzzle of creating something like a film that have nothing to do with your talent.
And what is something you wish you could tell your younger self that would have saved you from a mistake or heartache, either in life or in your career?
I think going back to the expectations, just knowing to be prepared for the heartache. I think a lot of artists come out here, they have to realize very quickly that there are people who are as passionate as you, and who care about the craft and care about the integrity of the product as much as you. And there are a lot of people who don't. And that is a reality. And that the amount that you care and the integrity that you have for what you do is not going to always match the people that you're working with. And that will result in heartache. And it is a really tough pill to swallow and something to come to reckoning with. But it's something that you have to do if you want to work in this industry. Because the goal being that, the more that you work, the more you align yourself with people who are like-minded and, and have the same degree and varying passion that you have. But especially when you're starting out, that is not the case. And even up there in, bigger budget world, that's also not the case because there's a lot of dollars to be made. And people who are really good business people are not always about the detail minutia of the art, right? They're about making the money. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to come to terms with that. That might be a misalignment for you. And it doesn't mean you can't work with them. It just means that you have to, again, temper your expectations and what you're getting out of this and know that their priorities are going to be different than yours. I mean, it hit me hard when I first jumped into this pool and started swimming. And I thought, it's so hard to make a living, let alone just to do what we do. That people who come here from all walks of life all over the world, they have to care as much. They have to love what they do and really put their blood, sweat, and tears and work as hard as you do. And I realized very quickly that's not the case.
Yes.
That's not the case. And people can be successful, but maybe do a third of the effort that you give. So that's the reality. And you have to navigate that and kind of be okay with having a bit of that heartbreak.
We're almost at the end of the interview. So let's do this section that I have called In the Closet with Call Me Adam, because like I said, I film all my interviews in my closet.
Okay.
So what is one physical item you have in your closet?
I have a classic trench. I feel like every person, man and woman, would look fabulous in a trench. I think that that's something and I wear it often. So if I'm like running to get coffee or doing something, no matter what I'm in, pajamas, sweats, you name it, throw on a trench, you look a little pulled together.
So now this next little part of the section is influenced by the Weird Al Yankovic song Stuck in the Closet with Vanna White.
Okay.
So if you could be stuck in the closet with any celebrity, who would you choose to be stuck with?
Oprah Winfrey. Where she could just, give me her own Soul Sunday masterclass in the closet, a one-on-one where I can absorb all of the things that she's learned throughout her years of business and in the world of, dealing with her masters and obtaining all this information. And I think she's very enlightened in that way. So that'd be beneficial. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe a director like Martin Scorsese or a Spielberg, where I could get all of the little tidbits of information maybe that they haven't written about, just having a one-on-one with them.
Ooh, that would be good too. If you were in the closet with Vanna White, would you have her spell out coffee or tea?
Coffee.
And how do you take your coffee?
Is it considered coffee if it's a latte?
I would, yes.
I take my coffee as a latte.
Okay.
Almond milk and vanilla. Or a cappuccino. That's kind of my go-to. I'm more of an espresso person, but if I am going to drink coffee, then it's a light roast with a little bit of soy creamer.
And lastly, what baked good would you have her spell out?
Croissant.
Yum. And that's it for the whole In the Closet with Call Me Adam segment. So we're up to the last question. If you could bear it all and reveal something about yourself that you haven't talked about previously, what would you share with me today?
I'm just getting started. I welcome the fact that I'm kind of like this newbie that's jumping in a little bit later in life. I'm not a young, spry 20-year-old gal who's, taking on the acting game. And I'm diving in with everything I've got, and I'm hitting it hard. And right now, over quarantine, I've just finished my own screenplay. So I'm, it's going to be a limited series, hopefully, on a big network. So we'll see. But there's a lot more coming. So I'm excited, and I guess I'll leave it with this. I'm grateful for people like you who are passionate about the arts, who are supportive of people who are artists and our crazy path that we are on. And we do this for you. I mean, we get fulfillment from this, but truthfully, the thing that I love the most about what I do is hearing from people how they're moved and touched by the art and what we create. So I'm humbled by all of you.
Oh, I love that. I cannot wait to see your limited series when it gets released. And with all the other projects you have coming up, I can't wait to see what you do next. And don't forget about me when your limited series gets released, because I want to talk to you again. And everybody watching and listening to this interview, you have to check out, you just have to check out Killer Advice on Lifetime. It's actually a Lifetime movie network that it's on. So go there, watch Kate. She's brilliant in it. And where can everybody find you on social media?
Thank you. Yes, it's just actress Kate Watson. So on Instagram and Facebook, actress Kate Watson.
Great. Well, go follow Kate on social media, tune into Lifetime Movie Network, and watch Killer Advice. And we look forward to what you do next.
He'll get the dirt and the scoop and the story, for he happens to be in the know. Just ask anybody who's had 'em. Adam lives for the business of show. Call me Adam.com.